or how it was not very, connected? Please, we'd like to hear your story.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in China. I was born, grew up in China, Beijing, China. So went school all the way to college, finished college there until I come to US for the master's degree in physics. And so I went to Cal State LA, got my physics degree. After that, okay, so like go back to the growing up. So basically, it's a pretty, I would say, generally normal, but in the time I was there, I was growing up, it's many, many years ago. So I want to say half century ago, because I like to say I'm half century, more than half century old. It feels a lot older than actually it is. Anyhow, and so it's everything's very different. You know how China that long ago is basically I went through the opening of China, right? So through my college, and so I was lucky enough able to get to college and join the college and learn the applied physics. And I just want to say my childhood is pretty average, normal. Both my parents are engineering type, so I think there's some little influence on me. I didn't know, but it's just like I guess that's what I find. I find physics interesting in college, in high school. So when it comes to down to apply for the majors, I said I don't like chemistry. Math is okay. Let me do physics. So sort of just like fall into that, and the fact is I don't really know much anything else like the real world what else is really available for me. So it's a pretty limited view, I want to say, but luckily I think choosing physics, I want to tell everybody, is a great choice. You learn a lot of fundamentals about how things work. You grind through all the hard problems like the build your logical thinking skills that by the to the point that you don't even know where the equation goes after, like what's the point? And that's
That's
where
a fun part.
yeah, that's where I felt like I'm hitting the limits of the my physicist dream or physics career. But I do want to say that it's interesting enough. I don't know how, but somehow Marie Curie is is entered my life in some kind of way, and I view her as like my role models. So it's like, oh, I'm going to be like her, invent something, and so that's kind of a, like I remember that when I was young, but I don't really know what is Intel, what's the detail, but basically that's my childhood.
So, what got you excited about robotics in particular?
That's a good question. I I so basically I got my physics degree, and the one thing I want to mention to people is that that's in 1991, I believe. That's when the headline of the newspaper says physics major couldn't find jobs. That literally is the headline of the newspaper. I may even able to find that newspaper. I was shocked. I was like, now what do I do? And that, anyhow, it's more of the survival, you know survival requirement, right? You have to find a job, you have to do something. And so I kind of find a summer intern job at a very small startup. And I basically says, I need a job. I need to start now. Can you just let me do it no matter what? And they're like, yeah, you're sure. We'll give you a try. And I think there's one interesting thing about that is we had a nice little background connection about physics. So I think that helped. Even it's a non-practical degree, but with that understanding of physics teaches you the basics that I was given the opportunity to give it a try. So that's kind of how I started everything with my work. And then I worked many years as a kind of engineer type, eventually got into Boeing company, working on satellite components, and become the technical manager for one of the satellite components. Some of you technically may know is the amplifier for the satellite called traveling wave tubes. And I was managing the technical aspect of that, working with subcontractors. So worked on that for many years, and then here I am with two kids, and my husband saying like, what can we do to, we always have this little entrepreneur little spirit in us. And so we're like, what we can do. So we were like, first thought about teaching kids entrepreneurship. And we both trained with a nonprofit organization as a teacher. And we went out to high schools and we say, look, if you don't want to go to college, that's fine. We're going to teach you how to make money. And they are like, we don't care. We're done. We graduate or not, we don't even care. And I was like, what is this kind of mentality? And I was like, wait, that doesn't work. We got to go to younger kids. So because my husband really are technical and I really like kids, so we said let's do technical kids, we do robots because everybody loves robots. So that's how we come up with this rolling robots idea, which is not primarily focused on teaching robotics or education. We want to be a fun place for kids to just play, and hoping through the play it will instill this idea of robot is fun. You can learn all the technical stuff in robots. But as we wish to be that way, then we hit into the 2000. I wanted to 2018. Wait, what's the year? 2008 crash of the whole economy. So all the retail just go poof, kind of gone. And we were like, now what do we sell, right? So then we default back to our technical background. We say, look, we can teach kids about learning this stuff. So that's kind of how we evolved from kind of primarily a retail robotics stuff, robot shop, to this teaching kids robotics. So that's how we got into robotics. It's a long way to get here.
Uh, so, do you track whether any of your students still continue on in STEM careers, or how has that trend been?
Oh, that is such an amazing story. I actually want to share with everyone about a YouTube that we have interviewed our college students that just graduated in 2020. We are very successful getting all the people into the robotics, mechanical, and I just put it in the chat. But anyway, so you can watch it later. It's a YouTube interview of four of our graduates last year, two of them in MIT, one of them in Berkeley, another one went to CMU, which they all majored in mechanical engineering, and there are many more. We have last year is really our big year. We got people getting to Yale, couple got in UCLA, couple of
Nice.
them got at UC Berkeley. Where else? Dartmouth. So people stick with us doing robotics for many years. All end up finding a passion in either mechanical engineering, computer coding, or something in between the combination. And so far, uh, the most of them are end up in either computer or mechanical engineering. So some of them may, I have talking to them, they may do something else, and there are a couple of them are even interested in bioengineering,
Mhm.
but most of them are in related field.
Interesting. That's really, amazing to know. Yeah, especially the pandemic for a lot of people, it has been a down, but you seem to be full of highs there, and
Yeah, it's
it's
actually this year is amazing because it's really, really hard to do robots
oh yes.
without touching anything. And so we used to have, as you can see behind me, this place that kids all come. We have multiple teams. They would be working with each other, looking at each other's stuff, learning from each other, helping each other out. And the whole pandemic, we basically have to send everybody home and to do not send everybody home, keep everybody home
Mhm.
to do Zoom meeting, but we were able to kind of get a small groups of them coming. We never really stopped having them coming. They all come in small groups, and so they were able to do a little bit of it. And then still now they're only coming in small groups, so we just not able to fully fulfill the learning from each other and share with each other, but we still maintain that. And the good news is all of our pretty much just about every single team made it to World Championship this year. It's a
Wow, nice.
phenomenon. We have more than 10 teams and everybody is going to World, which never happened before because, it's obviously more competitive. Now this year they did like amazing thing is our younger group that in elementary level, 4 out of 4 team, everybody got an award at state championship, including the highest award. So I'm like, all right, they did okay.
Nice. Okay. Um, so f- next question is also related to COVID. So you mentioned everyone had to go home. So did you augment any of your curriculum with simulation to kind of, help the home projects, or did you had to wait until things could resume back in small groups?
So, like I said, we never really stopped completely the in-person activity, but we have put a heavy emphasis on the learning online. So I'm gonna put a just a link on the patch article just published this week about how we transitioned. So we immediately after pandemic, after the shutdown, we have to put on the general online curriculum. We did
Mm.
pretty okay with 2 weeks. We turned around and offered online curriculum. So basically involves a kind of a rental system, how to get
Mm.
kids to rent our hardware. Parents come to pick up, stand far away, and so like, here's your kid, and then go home. And then we worked with them on Zoom, and they build and we direct and we troubleshooting all that online. So we were able to transition that really quickly to that, and and we learned along the way how to deal with hardware with a lot of chaos in the sense that missing one single part is like you can't put things together. Sorry parents, please come pick it up. It's like all that kind of a, and okay, I'll deliver, you're close by enough. So all these little things happened, but I think it just shows that parents really want the kids to continue the robotics stuff, and we're really trying our best to keep that going. So we did a lot of transitions through that, and I think that really helped. So, and also with our competition team, we took the opportunity to say, look, now you can't just build robot anymore. Let's learn how to do CAD. Let's learn how to do code. So we were doing all the Zoom meetings with them, making everyone, which typically doesn't happen because they are young, not everybody want to learn CAD. And now we said, look, give it a try. I mean, you can't do anything else anyway. So they gave it a try, and some of the kids really took off, and obviously not everyone. And some of the kids really able to pick up on the coding side of the things and really took off from there. So it's almost like the bad situation allowed us to reinforce some of the real things that we want kids to learn. But again, we're not class, we're not school, so we don't. Our typical philosophy is, I'm not gonna sit you down and says today you must learn CAD or today you must learn code. And our general philosophy is just go build the robot, and you will figure it out along the way. That when you really have your robot that cannot do what you want him to do, it's a time to sit down to do more code, right? So that's kind of how we have been learning, but now we're able to turn things other way around a little bit to get them to learn these basic skills. So I think in overall, it's really good with the combination of online and offline. So some of the kids, for
Awesome.
example, couldn't come to couldn't come in at all because we have
Mhm.
older parents or older family members or whatever situation they may be. So some of these kids end up becoming the leaders because in order for them to be able to communicate with the people in house, they have to be able to plan something out, really communicate, and they grow to be the leaders, which is really cool to see. Um, yeah. Did I answer the question?
I think so.
Okay.
Um, One of the other questions is, have you thought about or are already collaborating with any Chinese hardware companies to source the raw materials for the robotics kits?
Oh, so good question. I have not been really, although I'm Chinese myself, and I have not really working that aspect of things because we've been mostly working with Vex Robotics. As you can see, my background, we have lots of banners and trophies. I can show off a little bit. We have so many banners from states, and here's our two award, highest award we have received in World Championship. So these are so we're mostly focusing on backs, and so they have the materials goes all the way from elementary to college level. So we're mostly using that material. But again, over the years, we've been doing this for so many years. I have seen many fun and new material coming out, so I'm not totally against that. I just haven't been able to do anything.
So the next question, we have Catherine here, who is the founder of Tech Apart Facebook group, and one of her goals was to encourage older adults in, like the similar ways, like how we have first robotics for kids. So her question is, what are some of the obstacles that you see with reaching older adults outside of medical and mental issues that deter programs like yours from training them with the same MO that you use for children?
MO means
Modus operandi, like your way of
modest.
action. Modus, so it's your method. Let's
Oh,
simplify it that
okay,
way.
okay. Um, adults. I haven't been working with adults. We often periodically will have adults coming over to asking questions. Hey, that really looks so cool. Can we do it? Can I do it? And the answer is always yes. But I think with um, such a demanding or time requirement on how to actually build a robots and go very far with it and getting into all the things that kids are doing, I think adults are very limited on how much time they can
Mm,
devote to it, unless there is a maybe a career outcome that might be you can engage the adults more. So we have actually tried a few years back to teach adult 3D printing, because that's one of the big skills that a lot of people actually, a lot of adults actually, more adults that get involved into. And we did like couple sessions. You get a few people coming, and it's a very different way of adult learn and kids learn. So we sort of telling ourselves that we probably have to just stay with the kids, because that's enough issues we have to learn and deal with, and try to provide the best service we can. And I really want to work with adults, but more from the perspective is providing tools or helps to them to how to help them to work with their kids. So that's more of my adult angle rather than having them to build a robot specifically. You're welcome, Catherine, right?
so Bing, I had a curiosity. So you've spoken about all these wins that like your kids had over COVID. So entrepreneurship is in general a very you know overwhelming journey. It's not easy. It's not for everyone. What are some of the pleasant surprises you had through your journey so far?
You know, I, it's, it's interesting. So I have to take that leave a cushy job kind of situation to do this.
Hmm.
And I sometimes joke around to says if I know what is involved to do a business, I probably would never start. But I think everybody can say that, because when you start something, you really is not looking at how much more work I have to do. You're more looking at, oh my gosh, now I have this opportunity to provide something that doesn't exist in the world. And I think that's what excited me, because at the time there's there's a builder bear, there's no builder robot. So that's
Mm.
kind of the starting point for us, because my husband was a UCLA MBA, so they did a lot of case study at that time, and that Builder Bear was really popular. So they of course studied that, and we're like, Builder Bear seems like more for the girls and a lot of clothes, and we want to build a robot so we can decorate them up and do a battle. So we actually have the, I want to say, the world first battle arena, actually real big battle arena that people can put robot in and then play a battle. And so took us a long time to kind of establish us that that's a fun thing to do for kids. At the time, that wasn't even a thing. People walk into our shop like don't know what we're trying to do. And I was like, what do you do? Oh, sell a box? You want me to build a robot? I'm not going to sit here to build a robot, right? So all that kind of a negative or not misunderstanding. So, but I think the thrill is that you bring something that you feel the world need. Um, at the time, we have some self-own motivation. We have a boy at the time. I think it's a seven. I want to say 6 or 7, something less than 10 years old, and he's a like very curious guy. He likes to build stuff, and we're like, if we can have such a place, he can have a good time, right? What about kids like him? So that's kind of like our motivation to do that, and I will tell you later that it's really a good experience for him. At least we have one good outcome, and but so the all the entrepreneur part of it, so more and more I tell myself that I want to focus on bringing value to customers, which is really actually really hard to do because um, you think of all these things and then you how you can actually zone into some of the one or two, Laura says he's in startup, you know what I mean? It's like zoning into this one or two things or three things or whatever minimum to actually deliver high value to customer and deliver to more customer, right? There are people out there need this, but I just can't really reach them, and or people coming from um, different angles, and how do not to get distracted by that. So overall experience of entrepreneurship, I think is really great. Long time ago, I had a person I ran into that in real estate was trying to convince me to become a real estate agent, and she said to me, because she says I was an engineer too, but I think when I become a realtor, I become I become a better person myself. And at the time I didn't know what that mean. I was like, all right, maybe you make more money, maybe you have more freedom, right? In that kind of sense. But really now I understand it's the better person. It comes because the entrepreneurship require you to, constantly grow yourself because of the complexity of the business. And so I have this thing that I want to providing high value for customer, looking for the long-term outcome of the children. That long term is very long. It's not 1 year, it's not 2 year. We're talking about from 5 to 15. It's like more than 10 years. I actually have a kids in our shop already stayed us with us for more than 10 years. I was like, more than half of your life is at rolling robots. So that's kind of the thing I'm looking for. So you have to constantly um, finding ways to how to help all the people that is around you, right? And so that make me feel really good. And robot is really just a tool that we are really using that as a tool and ultimately to help them to become a better person, build this community. And over, I see kids that come back to me to tell me these things. I mean, through their little steps and journeys, and say, "Oh my gosh, I learned this." I was like, "Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking for." And so that really keeps me going. So I learn from them and motivate me to do better. And that's really ultimately the benefit of doing entrepreneurship, that you create this thing so beautiful and then you see the fruit of it and you kept going and really make you enjoy life more. And so although hard is a hard work, I want to say I like the hard work. It's really enjoyable.
So, what advice do you have for people who may be new to robotics, and how would you think they can best gain experience
You mean kids or
in general, maybe?
in general? Well, I guess reason I ask is that I had both experience working with these kids. I also have experience working as an engineer myself,
Mhm.
right? So I want to say I have lots of thought about how to work with kids, because like I said, robotics is just really a tool. The reason you come into robotics instead of, sorry about the noise, instead of a piano or instead of swimming or skating, is because you somehow find robot interesting, right? Whether it's at the beginning that your parents just made you do it, you have no idea and find interesting. For example, we have kids that used to be interested in video games, turn turned their interest into robotics, which including coding and robots, and they find their true passion about using their hand and working the code and all that stuff. So I would say that for kids that you really just want them to try it, and if they start trying it without have to learn all the you have some basic rules you need to learn, but you really don't have to learn all the formulas, how to calculate everything, because one of school um, the school is like we want you to learn all the knowledge as fast as you can, the more the better, right? But we try to say, hey, life is very long, you don't have to learn today. The true thing is find if you can really love this thing, and how to find that love of this thing is not by learning a lot of stuff at once, get overwhelmed, but to do the simple enough things to keep you interested in doing a little bit more, a little bit more, and then hopefully over time you'll accumulate. And so I want to advise the parents that or kids that starting out to find the fun part of doing whatever that little thing. Don't make it too difficult, don't make it too hard. And for parents, mostly just to support them, love they try things and give them that support. And one example I always want to say is that one time I saw one of our team at years ago at the World Championship, and the robot they built happened to have to rise up quite a bit, and they literally are doing this. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, the screw is not even tight. And your robot is about to fall apart. And here we are at World Championship. Just remember, it's the whole world there doing competition. And they were looking at me, just shrug their shoulder. They're like, whatever. And I was like, what kind of attitude is this? And this is, of course, years ago. And luckily, I didn't really say anything. I was like, okay, they're in World Championship, leave them be. But many years later, the kid becoming really good engineers, and I realized I didn't really have to say anything at that time. They didn't realize that is important yet, but through their own practice later on, they realized I better get the screw tight. I better Loctite it. I better make sure that never fall apart. So they learned all that, and they learned all the skills and tricks to make sure their robot doesn't, having a loose screw anywhere. And I didn't have to teach them that, right? They learned it. So that's the thing I want to advise people just starting out. The expectation has to be set at your kids' level and not to push them too hard, and love them. Don't criticize them. Don't picking on the little things they didn't do, but loving them, supporting them in a very gentle way, and encouraging them to try different things. So that's for the young kids starting out. For as a engineer, I think I kind of, like I said, I was a physics major coming out, don't really know if I'm going to have a job or not, but I learned that, excuse me just a little bit, and but I learned that through my job is that uh, your basic understanding is important, but you can learn all the skills like sort of on the job, right? Like I said, I have the physics major background. I don't know how to I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to design, I don't know how to build, I don't know how to test, I don't know any of this. But be able to understand the fundamentals, I was able to quickly pick up all this stuff. And I was a project engineer at the beginning, so I was lucky to be in this position to learn everything about the little device I'm doing. So I work with basically designers, people are making, manufacturing it, people are delivering it, marketing it, communicate with the customer. So I was able to learn the whole thing through jobs, and then eventually able to becoming the technical manager for some of the satellite components. So and also that sort of fit me because I always felt that I don't want to be sitting at a room to be my own, to be a circuit designer, because normally you think about engineering job is you sit there to either draw something or designing something, right? And I realized I'm not really that type. I'm more of this generalist, you can say, that understand how things work and then try to tie all the parts together like a system engineer or some sort. So you find your space or your position at a place or whatever you're interested in through the work, and you don't really have to be specialized. So saying that, I want to say whoever is in college and starting out engineering career, get yourself in some kind of project, whether it's teaching kids, because when you're teaching kids, you learn better, you learn more. That's ultimately learning the things that you want to learn. And then, or you can go intern at whatever places that working on these projects. Every practical experience will be very helpful.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. It was really helpful. So Catherine has a couple more questions. Her first question is, did you work with a business coach or manager to help you market your company or organization? And she
Uh,
has, okay, I'll ask the second question maybe after you're done with that.
yeah, so no, I don't really work with a marketing company right now. Um, I don't really work with a marketing company right now, because well, I do need to. In order to grow, I do need to, and I'm trying to find my best way to work with them. But I feel that in some sense that I am the best spokesperson for my business. I'm the person that most related to all the kids, all the customer. My own kids go through the process, so I have a lot to offer, and that's part of the reason I want to really speak out more, because I felt that, me knowing this is really not useful, but by me sharing all this, hopefully will help more people. So I've been doing that pretty much on my own, but I do need to work with a more marketing to have more impact, basically.
Okay, the next question Catherine has is, would you consider hiring a social media or content manager?
I have hired one. I have hired fired one. Yeah, I did try that one time, and at the time it was a promise to us. We will do your social marketing. We will do that every week and very regular. One thing good about having a social media marketer is that they're regular. So because that's their real job, they're all their job is to do that. But the one thing bad about them is that you myself has to keep up with them, and so it's a basically adding more work to me. And sometimes I felt that I just wasn't able to effectively working with them yet. And I think again that comes to running a business, how to delegate, how to manage what's important for you. There's a whole another topic we can talk about, but it's about a balance. I think when the right time comes, I think I will have someone doing that work for me instead of having someone in the company doing it for me, but it's not like their only job. But I'm kind of a multitasking with the staff I have. But all those are down the line that I would like to do.
Uh, so the next question is, did you find that word of mouth recommendations from your current clients brings you many more new clients?
Uh, the answer is I think word of mouth is the best way of bringing customer, because that the person herself that is promoting for you already have some experience with us, so they will share that experience. But I think they're the first step to be very effective with that. It's best to be able to actually have follow up with them through that word of mouth. Building up that nice system to be able to do that would be the key. So right now, I feel I'm doing a lot of the customer coming is from word of mouth. Sometimes I don't even know. And one of the fun experiences most recently is that I got onto a little TV show and
Hmm.
with our robots, not me, but it's just totally through word of mouth. It's one of my customers that is on the her kids is on the TV show, and they need a robot. They said, oh, let's go to Rolling Robots to find it. So if you guys are into TV shows called a drama club, sometimes you at some point you'll see our robots in there. So that's kind of even from that perspective, we have a lots of introductions by customers through many different ways to us.
So have you thought of actually like running like dedicated like summer camps or so right now you're more like a commercial establishment. Have you
Oh
looked?
yes, we are.
Oh, you are
We
okay.
are running a full summer camp. Actually, I think I'm
Nice.
going to, since you mentioned that, I'm gonna do my little promotion for you guys.
Okay.
I I'm trying to be uh, systematically and overall helpful. So apologize for all the things I posted there. I like to connect with everybody on linking if you guys like it, and
Of course.
also follow us, spread the word. It's really for the kids. I mean, after all, I'm here to help all the kids, help our next generation, help myself, help all the people around me. And summer camp, we are always full blown from beginning of the kids walk out the school the second week all the way to everybody go back to school. So we have about 9 to 10 weeks of summer camps, and I put a little coupon codes. Anybody helps share, use that AMA as the 20% off thing if anybody want to use it. So we do summer camp, including most of the summer camps are introduction. So we do robotics, that's a big part of it. We do coding, Scratch coding, Python coding, um, Unity coding, game coding, Minecraft, and then we do what else we do? We do 3D printing, app development, all these useful tools what will help all the kids to become, I want to call them all tech geniuses, but so they will just really feel confident. Like one example I want to share um, is that, let's see, did I prepare that one? Oh, one example I want to share is this kid. Actually, I should just show this link, show this little YouTube video you guys can watch. That she just came to us about 2 years ago, not even, and through working with us, she learned about all the coding with robot, and she really fall in love with it. This is an eighth grader at the time, and then through the summer, whatever, she ended up taking so many coding classes and she fell in love with app. And the video I just sent you about the X Prize next gen mask challenge, through that she was designing an app. So that becomes a feature of our design that we'll have an app, fit your mask and see if it's right, and then you'll be able to order a mask that fits you. So obviously it's not a full blown app that you can pick up and use, but she got to practice. She had the idea, and now she built an app to help us scoring our competition points. Like she made a better app than what the company actually did, and then she also built an app that we're actually in a competition for an invention challenge that will track a device to help clean up the beach. So you see the application one after another. Once you gain some capability, you learning and build on the application at the same time, which is really the way the learning should be. So I think that's the one thing that I want to really promote to kids is not you're not coming here to take a class. You're not people say, how many classes I can take with you? You can take as many as you want if you have time, but nobody has the time to take all the classes you want. And they all looking at me funny, says, why do you say I can come anytime I want? I said, you do, but you won't is the thing. So, but that's just the reality. So I'm hoping that more kids can become that way, and I'm wishing more parents can support them that way. It's not really about going to college. And you see the kids I was telling you that they went to college, we never say you have to go to this good college. We always just say do the work, do what you like. And if you watch that video I shared, that you will hear them saying the same thing. And so that's really important to me. Any other questions?
So is your program currently online or in person? If
Oh,
online, will it continue to maintain the virtual program when things open up?
yes, we are. we're online, and we actually offer a lot more options, opportunities online. And summer camp will be both. Well, we open up the locations, and we also have online. So we have both offerings right now. And I just want to add a point that about the parents with kids, because I'm not sure if you guys are all parents, but I think it's important for me, for parents to know that when you love kids, when you work with kids, I'm a parent myself, and just so I want to tell you guys that I have two kids. I have one on this way, one on this way. One is a MIT mechanical engineer. Another one is a cow art animation artist. So you can't be more extreme, right? And being a kind of science major myself, I can understand the mechanical engineer a little bit easier. And I'm having a hard time. I'm not so easy for me to understand what artist is looking for and what they're doing. But you have to support your kids both ways. I mean, one way or another, you have to find a way to how to support them. So it's really, really hard um, for me to find the right way to support the artist, because I just don't know how, right? And so I want to give advice to parents in a way that when you have a kids that is not exactly what you expect them to be, you really want to keep an open mind and be mindful about who they are and learn along with them. Keep an open mind to learn along with them, and then maybe you'll find a way to love them and support them and in the right way. I mean, it's so hard to be doing the right thing, but I think it's really important that parents keep trying. Don't say, my kid is 12 years old, he should know what he should know. We don't know what he should know, right? You want to really keep trying to say, he's 12 years old. I would like him to know this. Can I help him to know this? So just like there are a lot of fine subtleties that parents has to do. So it's a big job. So um, I just happened to read this article this morning from this character lab that who is a very um, famous lady that talked about how to uh, use this grit. She's famous for that, and she has this character lab. And she just published an article called "Step Back." I'm just gonna put it in chat to share with everyone. If you want to read it, copy it down and read it later, because that kind of give another thoughts about how to parents work with kids when they are in trouble. So you know, fruit for thought.
Awesome. So the next question is, have you run any workshop for parents to build the robots with their children, or are the classes typically just the children with the teachers?
No, yes, we do parent group. We actually like that a lot for the younger kids. Any kids that is in the range of 4, 5, 6, even 7. And we do robot building workshops. And so we mostly working with close by. We have been working some remote. So we send the kit to you, and on the same day, everybody get online. We have a robot instructor giving instructions about how to build robots, and kids work with them together. Parents work with them together to help them is the best experience, because kids are so happy when they get a robot built and actually do something. We have every kind. We have the doodling robot is probably the most popular. Everybody know. We have we have the money eating robots. We have the bubbling robots. We have the smart robot can run into the wall and back themselves out. We have the robot doesn't fall off the table. We have fast cars. We have every possible kind of robots, and kids get to build them in an hour, and boom, now it comes to life. You can see on the screen all the excitement and everything, and even parents. It is a little bit hard to organize all this together because everybody, again, different schedule, different everything. And but we've been always doing that. They're not so much long-term learning like that, because we're not going to ask a commitment of the parents sit next to the teacher to learn the whole Lego robotics, right? So we teach Lego EV3 and Mindstorm and all that. But the point is, typically those will be learned by the kids by themselves. But if the parents want to sit at the side to help them, we never stop them.
So
Definitely. I want to do more of those online things.
so do you design these kits yourself, or are they commercial off the shelf?
No, the kids from elementary school to high school, they're doing Vex robotics. If you guys don't know, you can look into it. They come with a kit, like lots of parts and stuff, and they come with a. Each year they publish a game. It's a new game, and no one knows how to play them. No one knows. You learn all the rules right there and then throughout the year they build robots. They will be continuously improved on how these robots are and then make them to play the game. And so each year, kids will start with brainstorming how to do it, and we try to drill them through a preliminary design review, critical design review. You know, we throw our Boeing best practice into their life and hopefully they follow through and then they have to build their robots, code their robots, and then go to competition. And through competition, they get to go to many of them each season, and they have to interviewed by the judges, and the judges will ask them questions like, "How do you design this? Why did you do this? How do you make your robot better? How did you code? What's your logic thinking? How do you teamwork together?" And all that kind of questions. And so they work as a team. So they have to deal with the personnel issues. Like he is taking my robot apart yesterday. I don't know why. And he just he didn't like my code or he just throw my code away. I don't know where it is. And all these little fun kids interactions and help them to not only learn how to build robots is really growing as a person. So we always say that's really not about robot. It's about the kids. It's about the person that involved in doing all this stuff. And they learning in such a practical way. I think Laura, I don't know, Rashmi, your experience, but Laura is working as a startup. Do you feel that's similar to what you're dealing with at work? That so and so said this, and I'm not sure. So that kind of the thing. We're really trying to put in kids' life, and hopefully in a safe environment, they can learn in their own way of how to work with these issues in their life. So ultimately, it's about growing a human being. It's not the robots.
So Bing, you mentioned that I am a tech lead and a product manager in for a medical robotics company,
So
like
you know
Johnson.
how, you know what
And
I
this
mean,
is this
right?
is my day to day. It's like
Yeah,
fully grown adults. I have to tell them, hey, work with each other.
exactly,
To ask them
exactly.
what you want. If this doesn't work for you,
Yeah,
let's don't wait for me to schedule a meeting. Go talk to them. And
exactly. You wish that our, people graduated from college have learned that, but they haven't.
uh,
And there are lots of talk. There are lot that it's not really their fault because the school is
yeah.
emphasizing the knowledge,
Mhm.
right? What grade did you get? When they talk about grade, is basically a measure how much knowledge you have remembered or able to use for that particular subject, right? It's not about grades, it's about what you know. But the problem is all these knowledge doesn't translate how you do the work. And that's why I was talking to a person who work with strictly software engineers, and he's responsible for hiring. He says all the people I hired with prior robotics competition experience do better than the pure software engineers. Why? Because they've been through the tough times. Not like software engineers can write a code. I was just dealing with this the other day. They write a code says move 3 centimeters. It will move 3 centimeters. I'm not going to questioning it. But a robot is not going to move 3 centimeters if it's sitting in the sand, right? So that, how do you teach that, right? You can do all the physics classes. You may not have that feel about, oh my gosh, my code is right. Why is that working? You have to make the kids go through those samples, those examples, and the interaction with the people. Then they learn that. So it's a big journey.
Yes, I totally understand. Yeah, people are still afraid to ask questions, me included. So I think having that, mentality from a very younger age will
Yeah,
go
you
a long way.
build on that. And I see all the kids by the time they get to high school level, they all become leaders of their respective college, the leaders of their robotics team. So just giving you a quick example of my own son that he did. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So he gone through a lot of competition, won a lot of award in middle school. So when I get to high school, he becomes the typically they become their first robotics captain in senior years. He was a captain in junior years, and he started his first year in first year freshman, which typically people start sophomore, and he is in the a STEM magnet school. So he was able to become just naturally becomes a leader because he's done so much more when he was in the past 4 years because he become high school, and then through that he is becoming ambitious and trying to get his team better. So he worked so hard that to try to get his team better. I basically say pandemic saved him because if it was not for pandemic, he would just work himself so hard. I don't know what's going to happen to him. But pandemic basically put everything to a stop. He can't do it anymore. So he has to sleep, right? So, but that experience he's not the only one. Other students all becomes starting the robotics team in their high school, become the captain of the school, becomes the BattleBot, the first high school BattleBot team. So one of our few of our students becomes that. So it's just like they constantly challenging themselves better and better. They become Intel Science Fair award winners. So it's like that pushes them by the high school level. They want that themselves. It's not for us anymore. It's not for the parents anymore. So that's really the thing I like about this robotics competition. You give kids the room to grow through many, many mistakes, through the mediocre, not so good experience, so good performances, and eventually they find the space for themselves. They do so well.
So I think we're almost up on time, but you have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you encourage any of your students to become tutors, mentors, or teachers within your program?
Yes, we actually have that very, very healthy cycle. Typically, we have the older, like say high school kids, they just naturally mentoring, helping the elementary, no, mostly middle school kids. And then when they become the age of like high school, sophomore, juniors, a lot of them will be coming to help us to mentoring. Actually, some of them become getting a job, and I really, really like that cycle. So my philosophy about learning is that you're first being taught, then you try to do it yourself, then you turn around and try to teach other people how to do it. That will complete your cycle of learning. Can you relate, right? You always
Mhm.
feel a lot of times that when I turned around, somebody asked me a question about how gear ratio works, right? I learned that from my physics class somewhere. I don't remember. But when I have to teach kids about that, I think through and through what is a driving gear, what is a driven gear, which way goes which way is torque. I think it probably 10 times. And by going through that, I'm able to deliver a clear description for our student, I learn better. I become better understanding that concept. And I truly like kids to go through that cycle themselves. That really, really helped them. And that's in fact part of my biggest promotion of learning. So I do like to get kids involved. A lot of our kids teaching here as a staff are a lot of them college kids, and they have done robotics at the say they have learned robotics in their high school, whatever, and then they get involved in learning, teaching at our place, and then that really is a nice cycle for them.
Awesome. That was quite an enjoyable conversation, Bing. I didn't really realize how the 1 hour went away.
Thank you, thank
I,
you.
I wish I had something like this when I was much younger. I
Yeah,
know.
yes, that's when you talk about adults. We have so many parents says, "Oh, I wish I could have played Lego like my kids did, and I wish I was able to build the robots when
It's
I
12
was
o'clock.
at the college or I mean at the school." But the same feeling as you. And that's, I think, I want to say that all these kids can get involved in robotics now are very lucky.
Yes.
They got the experience to be able to do these things in such a young age.
Well, I think we're at time. Thank you very much, Bing, for volunteering to be featured in our Ask Me Anything today. And thank you, Rashmi, for moderating. It was a great conversation. I learned lots. We recorded this, so we hope to post it to YouTube shortly. I'll kind of go through the chat and try to pull out some of the links to also include in the description for YouTube. If anyone wants to be featured in a future Ask Me Anything, please let me know. I think our next one is upcoming currently early May. And thank you again, everyone.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you at some time in our life.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.